Hello, I'm Camden Walker for Capital Weather Gang. Fine fall weather is on the way this week. We've got 70 degrees possible tomorrow and 80 degrees possible by the end of the week, maybe once, maybe even twice, if we see enough sunshine, break through some of the periodic cloud cover we see this week. But the clouds will not produce much, if any, rain. That is what is good if you're looking for outdoor activities, some more fine outdoor weather if you need to do some last bit of gardening for the fall. Rainy conditions not on the table, but it's not necessarily going to be dry air completely. Mugginess and some humidity possible as we get warmer and warmer later this week. Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe even Friday has some mugginess as well. So let's see if I have any comments from you all. I'm Camden Walker, tuning in anytime you see me on Sunday Sunset Chats here. I want you to ask Q&A for our weather week ahead. And at least in the meantime, looking ahead for the week's worth of accumulating rain, it is little to none. So that is the good news. Hey, Sean, thanks for tuning in. You're enjoying this weather. I feel you. I am enjoying it as well, and also excited by the fall foliage that's finally popping in the region. We are finally seeing some color. I hope you're seeing some where you are. Indeed, Brian, we need a little bit of rain west of 95, but we are doing pretty good in the rain department. So let's look at the last week or so of observed precipitation. This is what's fallen previously, looking backwards in the last week. Not as much west of 95 as you say, Brian, but year to date we are over 11 inches above average, and since September 1 we're still over an inch surplus of rainfall. So no drought to speak of just yet, not even a dry spell, but some gardeners, I feel you, some farmers, you do want to see a little bit more rain. And unfortunately, when we look ahead this week and see little to no rainfall over the next 6 to 7 days, that's not great for you as well. Hey, Peter, thanks for tuning in. Any rain by next weekend, Jim? Maybe a little bit later Friday, maybe Saturday. That's when the kind of cold front that finally changes our air mass out from the warm air this week finally moves through the region, but little to no rain even then, Friday and Saturday. So I hope that helps, Jim, answer your question. Deborah, hey, thanks for tuning in. The cool evenings have made excellent fire pit times. I love that. And here's your forecast at a glance while we chat together. Widespread first freeze. Those are happening, Rick, around 95, but points east have not really had many freeze watches, freeze warnings, or frost advisories yet. So I hope that helps delineate where in the geography of a region, kind of along the fall line there, along 95. We are starting to see west of 95, we have had a lot of patchy frost. I'm not sure if the National Weather Service would officially deem anything, the growing season, over, except maybe along I-81 at this point. Beautiful weekend, Annette. I am so happy you enjoyed it and you're okay with dry and cool, says April. I love that. And Brian, you say you've only had 3.8 inches of rain in Howard County since September 1. That is a little dry. You are typically a dry spot, Brian, but overall the region is doing okay. There definitely have been some hit or miss storms, hit or miss showers in the last month since September 1 especially. And looking ahead, here is what we see for the next 6 to 7 days, and it is pretty dry again in the region, but not dry as far as humidity and mugginess. We could see some stickiness with these warmer temperatures Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. As we start eyeing those mid-70s, Tuesday, it'll be just a hint of humidity. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and even Friday, when we are even warmer, yes, we could have to break back out our mugginess scale with dew points in the 60s. I can't believe even in mid to almost late October, I'm talking about dew points in the 60s, but it happens occasionally. Not completely abnormal, but you will notice it. You'll add a couple degrees for heat index onto the thermometer temperature later this week. All right, fall foliage so far, Bob, it is progressing. We are nearing some peak color in the region here in this upper corner. October 12th is right there. And for more on this, go to CWG.news/foliage. We have all the latest on the blog, including the fall color. So go to CWG.news/fall foliage, CWG.news/foliage right here, and all these links you can touch on my face and they'll pop up below on your mobile device. And for the latest forecast, go to CWG.news/latest for the latest by Greg Porter. And of course, we're also watching here the Colorado wildfire, CWG.news/ColoradoFire for the latest on the terrible fire situation there. They've had to do some evacuations in Boulder County. Anytime you need us, we're at CapitalWeatherGang.com and on Twitter at Capital Weather. I'm Camden Walker. Thank you for joining me on this Sunday Sunset Chat. We're looking at beautiful conditions tomorrow, eyeing the 70-degree mark. Liz says good sleeping weather. I totally agree. Sean, you're enjoying it. Looks beautiful. I agree. And looking at Friday evening, it looks like we have some plans. There could be a cold front, but no major rains to speak of associated with this cold front later Friday into Saturday. So if you do have outdoor plans coming up at the end of the week, don't change anything yet. Don't just have maybe a plan B in the background in case the rainfall associated with the cold front coming in at the end of the week looks more than it is now. But so far, it should be fairly dry. Sean, you're most welcome, and lovely evening in Western Spotsylvania. I'm glad to hear that, Lori. And yay for warm days, says Laura. And Liz, indeed, good sleeping weather. I still love that. I have been able to crack my windows and enjoy some of the sleeping weather as well. Here's Tuesday, more into that warm up, maybe 70 degrees tomorrow, Monday, and then mid 70s are possible on Tuesday. And then look at this on Wednesday, a little bit close to 80. I'm not sure how all of you would feel about that. I am okay not seeing 80 degrees. I'm kind of a fan of 60s, even 70s, but personal views aside, 80 degrees is on the table for Wednesday and even Thursday, so keep that in mind. Accompanying this warmth, especially Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe even Friday as well, we could see dew points in the 60s, 60 to 65 degree range, so moist, becoming unpleasant. So please keep that in mind. We could have a little bit of a heat index, a couple of degrees added onto our thermometer air temperature to give our body a more real feel temperature for what our bodies are experiencing later this week. But nothing oppressive, nothing terrible. And again, sunset's getting earlier and earlier. It is setting right about 3 minutes ago, looks like, at 6:24 p.m. Thanks again for joining me on these Sunday sunset chats. We'll be chatting earlier and earlier. About 9 minutes earlier next week is sunset, so keep that in mind as well in the DC area. And pollen has been bothering me a little bit today. I don't know about how you have been feeling, but a little bit across the board, especially weeds. I think they have definitely gotten into my eyes today, so apologies if I am presenting with some allergy symptoms, but we're all dealing with that. And maximum temperatures for Saturday, here's a sneak peek. Low confidence with exact timing of when this cold front gets through here this weekend, maybe later Friday, early Saturday. We shall see, right? If you have weekend outdoor plans, stay tuned to CapitalWeatherGang.com and follow us on Twitter at Capital Weather. But it could be nice again this upcoming weekend. We will keep you posted. And looking further ahead today, as we start as a benchmark, the average high temperature today, 68 degrees. We did not even hit that. We stayed below average at all three airports. 65 degrees, I think, was the cool spot at Dulles, 66 at Dulles, at DCA and BWI, and 65 at Dulles. So we're staying below average. Today's average high temperature is 68 degrees. And looking ahead, next work week, about 10 days into the future, the chances are, this doesn't show magnitude of heat, but just probability of above average temperatures. Decent chance, 40 to 50% chance of being above average still next work week. And again, we're not 68 next work week when you're looking at this map. We are down 2 more degrees by the time we get to next Sunday when you chat with me. 66 degrees for an average high temperature next week. So keep that in mind. When you see above average temperatures on these maps, it means not quite as warm anymore this time of year. All right, I'm Cameron Walker for Capital Weather Gang. Here's your week at a glance, eyeing 70 degrees tomorrow, maybe 80 degrees once or twice by the end of this week. Paul, too early to say on Halloween. I generally think we have some chance of being cool and chilly that evening, but that's typical for this time of year. We even have our first kind of foggy, drizzly days around Halloween, so we'll keep you posted as we get closer. I know folks still want to get Halloween celebrated as much as possible this year, so of course we will keep you posted as we get within a few days of Halloween. We're going to have a better idea of that, and I'll keep that in mind for my broadcast next Sunday evening for Sunday Sunset Chat. Liz, you're okay with 80 and low humidity. I'm sorry though, with dew points above 60, I can't promise the low humidity this week when we hit potentially 80 degrees once or twice. Hey Karen, any wait for the warm weather? You wish we could wait is what I'm interpreting that as. I think maybe you're thinking at least we can wait a little bit. Monday, tomorrow is nice. Even Tuesday is mid 70s and okay, but yeah, a little bit warm and muggy Wednesday, Thursday, and even Friday, just a little bit humid. Bring back summer, says Karen. I'm sorry, you're gonna enjoy then the midweek warmth. Let's see, what else? Arlene, great weather in VB. I'm glad to hear that, Arlene. Excellent. And Rodney, any chance the frost in the beginning next couple of weeks looks to be getting a bit warmer. So frost, I think, is off the table for this work week for sure. This upcoming weekend behind the cold fronts, I need to reserve judgment just to see how strong that cold air mass comes in from Canada. because we could easily this time of year when it's this dry see big temperature swings between sunrise and sunset, and that allows kind of 30 plus degree temperature swings intraday within the same day. So we could even see some warm temperatures by day and some patchy frost at night. Peak color Rodney, I think, is coming in the next week for much of the region. Might need about 10 days, and even downtown typically has been early November. So keep that in mind. We are just a little bit behind schedule this year, but all the latest is at CWG.news/foliage, and all the stories we're covering for you on the blog. Here you have them. Here's CWG.news/foliage, our latest forecast at CWG.news/latest. And then up here we are covering today the big fire has exploded in Colorado, some evacuations in Boulder County at CWG. Go to the link CWG.news/ColoradoFire. So we are keeping you posted as best we can at capitalweathergang.com, even on the weekend. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Camden Walker. And Kristen says maybe in a few more swims at the pool, you might be able to get in a few swims this week. I agree with you. I think it's still a very pleasant time of year, especially, I mean, even the water temperatures are not too cold around the region just yet. September was, as is typical for most years, the warmest time of year for the waters in the region. So we have not cooled off greatly. If you want to go swimming even in some of the waterways in the region, it's not too bad just yet. But yeah, warm. Once or twice we could see 80 degrees by middle of this week, end of the week. So keep that in mind. If you do have access to getting a swim in, I do not blame you. Deb, not a lot of color in the Blue Ridge, and you're at peak indeed. I think some of the weather conditions have not cooperated for a widespread all at once color situation there in the Blue Ridge. I was there last weekend and it was a bit patchy, Deb. So I think colors are going to vary by species of tree. It's going to depend on the cool nights ahead, and but the days are getting shorter and the chlorophyll just can't keep up with the less and less sunlight available to produce chlorophyll. So the colors will be changing. Will they be super brilliant this year? I have not seen any reason to think that they will be super memorable, but at least we are getting there, and I think it's a great time of year to, it helps celebrate fall to get these colors back in. Hey Rodney, you're welcome. So I appreciate you tuning in, most welcome. And Larry, thanks so much, kind words. And trek to southern Pennsylvania, Charlene, to Georgetown to see the Exorcist stairs in the house. You're shocked at how warm it was. So yes, downtown, many urban centers are still very warm. We got to 65, 66 degrees over much of the region today. 65 at Dulles, 66 at DCA, and BWI for a high temperature. So it is hard to keep some of these urban core centers down with artificial surfaces around. They absorb that sunlight very easily. We have yet to see a very cool day for much of the region, but the warming trend is here, and 70 degrees is possible tomorrow, and even 80 possible over the next once or twice later this week. By the end of this week, we could see 80 degrees once or twice. I'm Camden Walker for Capital Weather Gang. Thanks so much for tuning in. We've got a few more minutes together. I appreciate you tuning in on these Sunday sunset chats. Just keep in mind, sunset is earlier and earlier. It was a few minutes ago, and you'll see me about 9 minutes earlier next week. So keep that in mind. We definitely are watching earlier and earlier daylight. It's just part of the time of year. Tropics, great question, Lewis. Thank you for that. I meant to talk about tropics. I'm glad you've tuned in just in time for that. We've got a couple areas we are watching in the tropics, and we are filling you in at CWG.news/tropics about the activity in the Atlantic. So we do have one area that's high probability for developing. So far, not a threat to land, as you can see there in the middle of the Atlantic, the red X. But the area of interest, still a low probability for developing over the next 5 days, the area there in the yellow. It might remain a hotbed for tropical development over the next 10 days, maybe even 2 weeks in that area of the Caribbean Sea between Panama and Jamaica. So we just need to stay a little bit vigilant, not anxious or hyper vigilant, but we will keep an eye on the tropics over the coming days, but nothing imminent and nothing threatening land just yet. The models are hinting at a lot of activity, but not giving us much precision and specifics. So we're going to stand by and keep an eye on the tropics, and I'm sure I'll be talking about it to some extent next Sunday as well in the Sunday sunset chats here. And the smoke, it is entering the region again tonight. It is luckily elevated and we're not breathing in lower air quality, but that Colorado fire, which we have covered at CWG.news/ColoradoFire and on capitalweathergang.com today, that is contributing to some of the smoke you might see giving some orange hues to the sky, to the sunset and clouds over the coming several hours, and even maybe early tomorrow morning as well. So the smoke is around, luckily not causing an air quality problem for us at this time, but I thought you might be interested. Here's your forecast glance, looking at the week ahead. 70 degrees possible tomorrow, 80 degrees possible once, maybe twice if we're lucky, and one way of saying it, if you like the warmth, by the end of the week. Hey Liz, again, hurricanes in the tropics, blizzards in Alberta, Canada. It is extreme this time of year, quite a transition season throughout the hemisphere. You hit the nail on the head. And Arav, hey, good to see you. The warm days during the week supposed to be clear or cloudy? That is a great question. Partly to mostly sunny, but periodic clouds are on tap, and the cloud cover is what could prevent us from getting to 80 degrees by the mid to late part of this week. So trying some photography, I do think you might have a little bit better chance at sunsets based on the latest information I saw on clouds. But remember, clouds occupy just a few molecules of the atmosphere, so I never, and a meteorologist in general, never really trust being able to predict cloud cover with much precision, much high confidence, more than a few hours in advance. It's just such a thin layer of the atmosphere. Clouds remain a very pesky aspect to the chaos theory that drives some of the confidence issues in our weather models. So I'm sorry I can't give you a higher certainty on when the best time is, but you won't have completely cloudy conditions arrive this week. So these conditions, when you see this warming trend, they are accompanied by partly to mostly sunny skies this week and rising hints of humidity and mugginess as we get toward Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week. So dry in the sense this week should be mostly rain-free. Here's rain accumulation over the next 6 to 7 days. As you can see, little to no rain in the region, but dry as far as humidity and mugginess, I can't promise that. So here, even in October, I am talking about 60 to 65 degree dew points possible Wednesday, Thursday, and even Friday. So moist, becoming unpleasant. It's indeed possible later this week. So just think about when you look at the air temperature on the thermometer, you might have to add a couple degrees for that heat index, that real feel apparent temperature when you go outside, but not super sweaty or sultry by any means. Just worth flagging for you that 80 degrees will feel, we've gotten used to 60s, so we will notice the 80s when we get there. Rob, most welcome. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Camden Walker for Capital Weather Gang, and let's look at the colors really quick as we are getting finally some foliage in the region. Go to CWG.news/foliage for the latest on the popping colors finally happening. We are a little bit behind schedule this year, and I've even heard reports from you all and my eyewitness account in Woodstock, Virginia last weekend. The color is kind of dependent on species. It's not a brilliant all-at-once color, but at least it is finally happening at this point in the season, and we can kind of feel a little more festive and fall-like as we get closer. But we do have some great explanations for you and some prognosis on what we can see maybe over the next week to 10 days, more and more color coming in throughout the region. Lee asks about when we'll have the latest winter outlook on the blog. Typically that's as early as Halloween timeframe, but as late as perhaps Thanksgiving. So great question. We will have our winter outlook, Lee, closer to Halloween to Thanksgiving timeframe. We got to take a look at the data, and it could be, you may have seen on capitalweathergang.com this week, it could be another mild winter, our third in a row, but we shall see. We shall see. Lots of data to try and put together. Signals in the atmosphere are not giving us precise signals just yet. Hey, Denny, good to see you. Thanks, Denver. Thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. That is excellent. Here's all we're talking about on the blog, on this broadcast. I'm Camden Walker for Capital Weather Gang. We've got the Colorado wildfire that has exploded recently. They have evacuations in Boulder, Colorado at CWG.news/ColoradoFire for the latest on that. And the latest forecast by Greg Porter, CWG.news/latest. And of course, we have been talking about the fall foliage slowly, finally popping in the region at CWG.news/foliage. So thank you all for tuning in. Before I go, let me know if you have any other questions. Tomorrow is looking great, maybe near or around 70 degrees. Lee, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a mild winter. I just wanted to give you a teaser. We will keep you posted at capitalweathergang.com on the winter outlook as we get closer to Thanksgiving. Don't worry. Now let's skip ahead to Tuesday, getting even warmer. The warming trend continues. Mid-70s are possible for much of the region, and then 80 degrees becomes in play by Wednesday. A little bit of humidity, a hint of mugginess in the air as well. So just keep that in mind. 60 to 65 degree dew points can't be ruled out Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week. After getting used to 60s, we're going to feel a little bit summery perhaps. Misha, hey, mild winter means more visiting outside. Misha knows how to spin positive. That is excellent, Misha. Had not thought about that. Right on. And then here's sunset today. I'll talk to you about 9 minutes earlier next week on these Sunday sunset chats. And pollen we talked about briefly affecting me a little bit, this ragweed. I hope you guys are hanging in there with your allergies. And then looking ahead to next work week, we potentially see above average conditions. There's a decent probability for above average conditions, but keep in mind the caveat. Our temperatures are falling this time of year. Our average high temperature falls another 2 degrees by the time we're looking at this map coming into play about 10 days from now. So above average of the 66 degree baseline is not all that warm. Not that this map says necessarily the magnitude of warmth we might see, but a decent probability of above 66 degrees for an average high temperature come next work week as well. So we're not on a fast track to winter. The signals in the atmosphere don't have that in the cards just yet. And then, yes, we talked about tropics really quick. We'll continue to watch them. Nothing imminent, but we could see some development this week. We will keep you posted. Smoke, especially coming off the Colorado wildfire, could entrain, get sucked into the area of our upper atmosphere this week. Should not affect our air quality, but we will keep you posted. And again, here's a look at your work week ahead as I sign off. Warming trend underway with 70 degrees possible tomorrow, 80 degrees possible once, maybe twice by the end of the week if we see enough sunshine, which is a question mark. Thank you all for tuning in. And we have indeed the first freezes are coming, Lewis. And I had a graphics issue, but typically we are finally getting on schedule with our first frosts and freezes. Downtown in the urban areas like Baltimore can be early to mid-November for the first hard freeze. So keep that in mind. We are on schedule. We were actually ahead of schedule in I-81, seeing some of those first frosts and freezes in September, but now we are averaging down for the rest of the region properly. Lee, thank you for tuning in. And indeed, Denny has a good point. If we do see a mild winter, we could still see some snow. So keep that in mind, and we'll have our winter outlook on Capital Weather Gang closer to the Halloween to Thanksgiving timeframe. So stay tuned for that. Signing off for now and wishing you really well. Good week ahead. Enjoy, hopefully you can, the warming trend ahead. Signing off until I talk to you for the Q&A Sunday Sunset Chat next Sunday. I'm Camden Walker. Anytime you need us, we're at CapitalWeatherGang.com. Bye for now.